Hey guys, welcome back to another video at Jensen's Reptiles. It is cleaning day here today, or I should say one of the cleaning days because it takes a couple. And I remembered that a lot of you actually ask about the cleaning process and what we do to make sure everything's nice and fresh when it goes back in the enclosures. So I thought I would make a bit of a vlog style video to show you that process. So currently enclosures are all empty. I've got a big bag of old Lignocell down here and a pet shop's worth of decoration on the floor. So the reason we're doing a clean out now is not only just for, general hygiene, but because the royal pythons are soon to be getting some new enclosures that are going to be a little bit bigger. Their current ones are Viv Exotic and they didn't stack as well as we hoped. So now that the enclosures are a bit older, some of the glass doesn't open easily anymore. We can't have that, so we are switching decoration around for the sake of enrichment. Everyone's getting a slightly different setup, and today we're going to be focusing on my colubrids, so the corn snakes and my king snake, who are currently all up in their boxes up here, nice and out of the way, so I can clean without upsetting any of them. So, like I said, the enclosures are currently empty, but as you can see, they are not clean yet. So there is poo stains, there's urea, bits of Lignocell left over. And what we're going to do is get a nice F10 solution down on this. But first, I'm going to give it a nice wash down with some warm water. So I'll get started on that now. Okay, so here we have a bowl of warm water with some white vinegar in it. Vinegar is great for giving things a nice clean down. This will be for our first round of cleaning only, so what you want to do is get a sponge that's got a bit of a scrubbing surface on it, so when you get to bits like that, it's easier to take them off. What I'd always recommend though is doing bits like that last, because you want to keep your sponge as kind of easy to clean as possible until the last moment. And then most likely you'll clean up bits like that all around the enclosures and throw the sponge away, unless you feel like giving the sponge a really good clean. But with these cheap sponges, I think it's easier just to do the whole lot and then just ditch it. As you can see here, we actually cut them in half so they last longer as well. So that way if you get a pack of 4, you actually get a pack of 8, which is better. So just to show you, you can see the stripes of urea here. It's because I've gone around with a handheld vacuum cleaner to get most of the Lignocell out. With a sponge like that, it takes it out straight away, so it's actually a nice quick job. And then you can see up on the edges as well, you can just go around and it cleans really quickly. So I'm going to go do that on all 4 enclosures that I'm tackling at the moment, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now that the enclosures have been properly wiped down with some hot water, I've also dried them. One thing to watch out for is if you don't have your enclosures sealed with silicone, like I don't seal my colubrid enclosures because they're mostly very dry. Make sure that when you're putting water into the enclosure, you either do it with a sponge so that you can very, very quickly follow up with the other side of your sponge and get any extra water, or you have paper towels on hand so that if there is a spillage or anything like that, you can quickly mop it up. The last thing you want is water seeping into those cracks. It's a hot day here, luckily, so if anything were to happen, it would most likely dry out very quickly. But still, you want to prolong the life of your tanks as much as you can. So next step is disinfecting. So I use the F10 Reptile disinfectant, which looks like this if you get it in the spray bottle. We buy the spray bottles, but we actually make up our own concentrate using the super concentrate. You don't need a lot of it, so this probably lasts us about a year actually. But we do use it for when we clean water bowls and we do our regular spot checks as well. If there's any dirty stuff in the enclosure, we'll give it a wipe down with F10. So all you do is spray it around the enclosure like so. Don't forget the walls. And you let it sit for a minimum of 20 seconds. but actually I'm gonna spray all of the enclosures and probably leave it for about 2 minutes. Then I'll go around with the paper towels and wipe it down. At that point we're ready to put fresh substrate back in the enclosure. So it is substrate time. So I've started in Indy's enclosure already. So obviously this is just 1/2 because I wanted to show you the depth. So you can see it's about 2 inches deep, so about 5 centimeters. And the reason for that is because he likes to burrow. So rather than just having a very thin layer of the substrate, we put it quite deep in all of the colubrid enclosures, so it just gives them that option to burrow. As you can see, we don't use heat mats, we use overhead heat. So it's more natural, the snake can go further down into the substrate to cool off if they want to. So that way we like to put a little bit of depth in there for them. Now I'm using Lignocell here, which is similar to aspen, but it's cut a lot finer. It's less dusty, but it does get absolutely everywhere. So if you are using it, then expect to have your vacuum cleaner on hand, because after you're done, you're going to need to clean your whole house. But the snakes love it, and that's all that matters. So I buy it in bulk, so it's a big bag like this. And this bag will do probably about 8 enclosures, so we might have a bit spare. If we do have some spare this time, I'm actually just going to make it deeper for all of them, because we have another bag like this, and as you can imagine, storing it is not so easy when you live in a house in London. We don't have a huge amount of storage space, so we're going to use as much as we can of this, and I'll show you when they're all done, and then we'll start putting in their new decoration. So here's the first round of branches getting cleaned off. First thing we do is spray down some F10 on them, and then we will steam clean them and rinse them off with some hot water. So these branches that we've had in the house for a long time, they've not come in, fresh from a pet shop or anything like that. So what we're doing today is mainly getting off the bits of urea that you can see on here, and giving them a nice clean down, because some of them will be switching enclosures, so we want to make sure that they are good as new for the next snake that gets them. Okay, so enclosures have fresh substrate in them, it's nice and deep in all 4. Now it's time to start putting the decoration back in. So we start with the hides, which have all been scrub clean as well, and then we'll put in the branches and the silk plants, and lastly the water bowls. So the reason I put the water bowls in last is probably super self-explanatory, but if you're moving things around and that gets in the bowl, you've got to take it out and clean it again, otherwise you have bits of Lignocell floating in the water. So I'm going to pop the hides in and start getting in the branches, and I'll give you an update in just a sec. Okay, so now we have the branches in. The way we do it is for a minimal amount on the warmer side. As you can see under the heat there is not so much, and then we have most of the climbing over on the cooler end. We do this for a few reasons. Mainly we feed our snakes on the warm side of the enclosure, but also because we don't want to offer them too much climbing towards the heat. Whilst the heat sources are all protected with the guards still do get fairly warm, with the screws in particular getting quite hot. So rather than encouraging climbing in that area, we encourage them to move towards the other side. So that is all set up for these 4. What I'm going to do next is take some silk plants and some other decoration and put it around the enclosures, and I'll show you when it's all finished. Okay, so that is the enclosures all set up and ready to go. So the absolute last thing I need to do is fill the bowls with some fresh water and give the glass a clean, and I just do that with a damp microfiber cloth, and it comes out really nice. And once that's all done, I'll put the snakes in so you can see them go back into their nice clean enclosures. Okay, so first to go back in is Yuki. She can go and explore her new fresh enclosure. Here we go. Looks like she's just going to go and hide rather than explore. There we go. Now she's in. It's nice and clean, and she can decide if she wants to go back to bed or if she wants to go for a climb and smell of the new stuff. It looks like she's going to go back to bed though. Okay, let's do Indy. Okay, next is Indy. Here we go, little man. Oh, don't come back out. Your house is clean. There we go. Okay, so you see what I mean about that deep substrate layer. Now he's gone all the way over here, and you can't see him at all. All you can see is the tip of his tail, and that will be one happy snake burrowing until he feels more confident, and then he can come out and do some climbing a bit later. Okay, next up is Ziggy. And I think he's very keen to go straight back to his hide because he was having a nice little snooze in his cleaning tub just now. Off he goes. Come on, Ziggs, in you go. So he can get nice and comfy, and like the others, come out later when he's got used to the new smells. Last but not least is Mr. Nacho, who again doesn't seem to want to go inside his house. Come on, Nacho. There he goes. I think yeah, he's gonna go over to the other side maybe. Oh no, he's coming back. Okay, so I think we'll leave them to settle, and anytime you clean your snake's enclosure, all the smells are going to be slightly different. The Lignocell is going to smell a lot stronger because it hasn't sat out for so long, so everything's going to smell nice and clean, but of course for them that doesn't smell like their home anymore. And after you've cleaned your decoration and maybe moved things around, they might be a little bit uncertain. It doesn't usually last long, so what I would say is leave them for a day, and the next time we interact with the snakes will be tomorrow when we feed them. That will help them settle into the space even more, and then after that we'll be back to normal with handling them when they fancy it. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful, and I know a lot of you have asked about cleaning routines and things like that. That's how we do a deep clean here. Every 3 days we do a spot check when we top up clean water and scrub the bowls out and things like that. But of course, anytime you see dirt in your snake's enclosure or anything that you think shouldn't be there, you can take it out immediately. You don't need to wait for a set cleaning time. So do as you see fit and make sure your enclosures are kept nice and clean, and you will have happy, healthy animals. So if you have any questions, as usual, drop them in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And let me know, as I said, if you have any questions. So I hope you're having a good day, and I will catch up with you soon.